Shalom everyone. As we prepare for the Seder night, for Leila Seder, there is a theme in the Haggadah that we all like to discuss, which is the Arba'at Banim, the 4 sons or the 4 children, which we all know represents different opinions, different backgrounds, different questions. But tonight, I would like to discuss the She'elat HaRasha, the question of the wicked son. The Torah says in Perek Yudbet, Pasuk Kavav, in chapter 12, verse 26, והיה כי יאמרו עליכם בניכם, מה העבודה הזאת לכם? And it will come to pass that your children will tell you, or will say to you, what is this service to you? This Pasuk is very complicated. To some extent, it's even enigmatic. What does it mean? העבודה הזאת, this service. What exactly are we talking about? The second question that we should ask probably is, why does it say bneichem, children, when it should say bincha, your son? We are not talking here about all the children, only one. And the third question that we should ask is, why does it say yomru, which means they will say, rather than ishalu, which means ask? So I would like to take you with me to a journey through the KMD, through the Mikraot HaDorot, and to try to see what the commentators through the generations had to say about those questions. The Talmud Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud, said the following. He says, Ma avodah azot lachem, what does it, this service to you? Ma hatorach hazeh she'atem matrichim aleinu bechol shana. Which means, the wicked son is not really asking about the details. He looks at the avodah, he looks at the service as a torach, which means a burden. He looks at avodat Hashem as something that it's annoying. It's something that basically disturbs your day-to-day life. Why do you do that? So basically the Jerusalem Talmud described this Rasha not because of his question, not because of the quality of the question or the difficulty of his question, but because of the nature of the question. Torach. When you relate to Avodat Hashem as something that it's annoying, it's a burden, you basically secluded yourself from the Jewish people. Midrash Lekach Tov, which is a little bit of a late midrash around probably the 11th century, says, והיה כי יאמרו עליכם בניכם, when your children, plural, not singular as bincha, but plural, it says bnechem in order to teach you something that it's a bit ambiguous. First and foremost, bnechem means future generations. Besora tova hi lachem. The midrash says this is a good news for you. You're going to have future generations. However, it's your responsibility to make sure that the future generations will tell you, will talk to you, ki yomru aleichem bneichem. Our first responsibility is that we make sure that we have future generations to talk to us about the avodah. However, sometimes we do our part in terms of having future generations. But their statements is, ma avodah azot lachem. They have no clue what's flying in Leila Seder. They have no recollections of any Jewish history or any traditions. And to some extent, the Midrash puts the emphasis on us, not on them. The fact that a child asks, Ma avodah azot lachem, that he or she has no clue of what's flying, we need to look at the mirror and to ask ourselves, did we do enough in order to help them to be more educated and to be more engaged with Torah and Yahadut? A totally different perspective is being shared with us by Sforno, 16th century commentator from Italy. He says that the She'elat HaRasha, that the question of the wicked son, is a really smart question. Because the wicked son asks three questions basically. He says, first and foremost, this today is not Mikra Kodesh like any other korbanot. When you look at the Paschal lamb at Korban Pesach, is not identical to almost any other korban. Second, the time. We know that every other korban needs to be sacrificed from Alot HaShachar until when? Ad Bein HaArbaim. And Korban Pesach is not in the right time. And the third question is that each family needs to bring a Korban Pesach, which is definitely not the same case with any other sacrifice. Basically, the Sforno says, the wicked son asked a very smart question. The fact that maybe the nature of his question or the way he asked is a bit annoying does not mean that we should not try to understand the question. Sometimes, probably the Sforno will claim, is that we are blinded by the facade of the question. But we need to try to infiltrate into the heart of this son and to see that he might care about what's going on. Nechama Lebowitz, and now we are moving to really the 20th century. Nechama Lebowitz said something fascinating. She says the following, אולם נראה לנו שעיקר ההבדל בין חכם לרשע הוא בפרט קטן ולא בולט. She says the Chacham says כי ישאלך בנך, when your son will ask you. The Rasha, it says כי יאמרו עליכם בניכם, they will tell you, they will make a statement, which means the question might be the same question, but there is a huge difference between what? Between if I ask and I just show curiosity, and my question can be even chutzpahdik, but it comes from a real inyan, from a real interest in what's going on here, rather than just making statements. But I would like to add one more educational lesson. We invite everyone for Leila Seder. We sit with our families. We have different children. We have different people coming to the Seder night. We should try to embrace their opinions, their knowledge, to try to entice their curiosity. If they ask, they care. If they don't ask, they will not show up. It's our responsibility to create the sense of Bneichem, to create the sense of belonging, to create a night where questions can be asked in a proper way, in a nice way. And even if they are a little bit of a daring questions, let's try to embrace them. Let's try to reach out to all Bneichem, so we will have everyone sitting around the table, Banecha veBnotecha, כשתלים סביב לשולחנך, around the same table, discussing the same texts, and reach the same level of closeness to Hashem. Chag Sameach.